YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
People look at the court of law and only see black and white, and they're gonna call Gunna a snitch.
Because YSL is in fact a corporation tax ID number that has received real legal transactions. They needed that piece, that cooperate, to identify that entity as a gang.
What's good, RIZZLE fam? We weren't sure about it in the beginning, but now it's official. Gunna definitely snitched, and that's why he's got released from prison. Gunna finally broke the silence and told on Thugger and the YSL folks. He appeared in front of a judge a few days ago and made a statement along with his legal representatives. After that, he walked out a free man. This news came as a huge surprise, mostly because people thought that Gunna would never snitch under any circumstances, but it looks like it happened after all. However, he's not in the clear just yet. He's got a couple of things to take care of. We finally have something worth calling a big development in the YSL RICO case that's been going on since May of 2022. We talked about it a lot, but in case you missed it, earlier this year, the Young Slime Life or Young Stoner Life group from ATL was hit with a pretty big RICO case. It turns out this group is more than just a record label. Rather, they're heavily involved in illegal activities that are a threat to the community. All the lyrics that we heard from Thugger about crime and street life, well, it just may be true. He's really about that life. More than 20 people got slammed with a RICO indictment, and both Gunna and Young Thug were among them. They were all locked up pretty tight and denied bond several times. The prosecutors made heavy-duty cases against them. It seemed like they were bound to spend at least the near future behind bars. But it looks like one of the YSL boys has other plans. See, Gunna decided he wanted out, so he appeared in front of a court and took the so-called Alford plea, which allows a person to maintain innocence while acknowledging that it's in his best interest to plead guilty. He also gave an official statement where he claimed that he didn't snitch on anyone from the YSL team. Gunna said to the officials, "While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no mention of being involved in the trial process in any way." But that's not the whole truth. Gunna said a couple more things while he was talking to the judge. Here's what he said once he was asked about it.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
At the very end of his statement, he was asked if he also regrets the fact that he got misguided as an artist by YSL, and he said that was true.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
Well, if that ain't snitching, then what in the world is? Maybe he didn't call out names, but he sure as hell confirmed that almost all of the suspicions that were brought up on these last few months by the prosecutor were not only reasonable, but close to the truth. This didn't sit well with all the YSL fans out there. If you ask them, Gunna's a snitch, and there's no way you could convince them otherwise. You have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang? Yes, ma'am. Man, what they got telling in 4K? Now this is snitching at its finest. But that's not all when it comes to Gunna's situation. There's still a couple of things that Gunna has to do, even though he's out of prison. Steve Sadow, his attorney who's been involved in cases for famous rappers such as T.I. before, told us a little bit more about the legal implications of Gunna's case. In an email that he wrote to the press, Steve said that Gunna's got 5 years of jail, 350 hours of speaking against gang activity, and he also has to serve 500 hours of community service. On top of that, if he's found with a burner on him, his suspended sentence may be revoked. A lesser-known fact, but also an important one, is that Walter Murphy, the alleged co-founder of YSL, also pleaded guilty. He got out one day before Gunna because he also made a deal with the feds. The rest of the YSL boys, including Young Thug, are still locked up. In fact, things are looking even more ugly for Thugger now, since there's also been some recent development in his case, and not a good one either. He got slammed with yet another charge. While Gunna was out walking the streets, Thugger got slammed with charges for street racing, reckless driving, and speeding. Authorities say that these charges come in from an incident that took place place last year on May 21st, 2021. Thug was driving a car at 120 miles per hour and he got caught. You ask his lawyer, Brian Steele, the fact that he got those charges coming in right now, amidst all the other charges that are already tied to his name, is nothing but wrongdoing. In one of his press statements, Thugger's lawyer said, as of 2 weeks ago, that case was being resolved with a seatbelt violation. Today, now it's indicted in the Fulton County Superior Court. He's being wronged by our system. And not just the system, but apparently by his day one homies too. Gunna did him wrong, and there is almost no denying that Gunna being released and admitting YSL to have committed crimes in front of a court is going to make Thugger's case so much harder to beat. Not only that, but he also said that the drugs and firearm that were found in the car in which Thugger and Gunna got pulled over weren't his. And if they weren't his, well, since there were no other people in the car, that only means one thing. Thugger is to blame. It's already widely believed that Gunna messed up big time with making this plea. He's going to be judged by the community no matter what his next move is. DJ Ack recognized this immediately. And that's why he said during one of his Twitch stream sessions,
people look at the court of law and only see black and white, and they're gonna call Gunna a snitch. I'm telling you this right now. This deal he took, which again, I am not in no way, shape, or form saying he's cooperating, but the ignorance of the streets is gonna say he's cooperating.
and he's got a strong point. Now, the judge is starting to believe every single word that the prosecutor's side has to say. He just got one of their leading members to confirm in front of court, swearing that he's telling the truth, that YSL is more than just a record label. They're a street gang that conducts criminal activities. How can that look good? It can't. You don't have to call out names in order to make things go south. Generally speaking, people believe that the prosecutors got what they wanted by letting Gunna go. They wouldn't be letting him go if they didn't get what they wanted by doing so. Even without saying anything about anyone, him pleading guilty is going to be huge in court. Anyone thinking the prosecutors didn't get what they wanted before letting Gunna go is naive. One of the people who's always tuned into this type of news is Whack 100, but he too wasn't surprised once he found out that Gunna took a plea. He already knew that Gunna ain't built like Thugger or some of the other street dudes.
But I said, Gunna's not like that. And he's not that type of guy that involved himself in that shit. And he called up guilty through association affiliation. You know how that goes, right?
Whack also thinks that Gunna did way more than what is necessary to bring down the whole YSL gang.
He has not told him this dude shot this dude, killed this dude, robbed this dude. But what he did do was give them that piece that they needed, because YSL is in fact a corporation tax ID number that has received real legal transactions. They needed that piece, that cooperate, to identify that entity as a gang.
Whack compared this situation to what we got going on with the YSL to that of the Gambino family. In that RICO case, it was similar to what we have now because no particular names have been ratted out by the people who took the stand, yet the whole family went down as a result. Since this is still an ongoing case, we cannot really say what's going to happen with Thugger or the whole YSL gang, but what we can say is that this probably ain't going to sit well with the relationship that Gunna had with the rest of that YSL crew. If the plea that he took turns out to be crucial in the beginning of the YSL downfall, everyone's going to say that Gunna was the link or the catalyst to that happening. But what y'all think? Let us know in the comments section below. If you like this video, make sure to check this next one out. Click that like and subscribe button. As always, remember to keep it RIZZLE.